Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and state of Denver, Colorado. As you're coming in, if you're catching this live, don't be a stranger, say hello. But as always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so we're going to jump straight into it. So I know you guys in tune in today, or catch the playback, or catch the podcast, how you may catch this. I know you guys in tune in today to see me. I got a very, very, very special guest today who needs no introduction. He goes by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. Just to go over a little bit of his background, in case you've been sleeping under a rock in the financial education world, he's the CEO of Rich Global. If you don't know his name, you probably know him by his book by the call of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which sold over 48 million copies around the globe, the best-selling not children's book, but the best-selling personal finance book of all time. He was in the military. He was a helicopter pilot, and he's done so much across the globe. I know he's written 26 books in total, and today we're going to get into his new book as well. His new book, Who Stole My Pension? Very unconventional guy, and very unconventional name I've been hearing about a lot. But what really made me reach out to Mr. Kiyosaki was I was reading this book. I'm pretty sure Mr. Kiyosaki probably remember this. It was written by one of our guests, Mr. Rod Smith, called The Rod Effect. And when I was reading this book, you know, Rod Smith has been on the show before. He autographed it for me, right? And the first page I flipped to, guess whose name I see? Even on the cover of the book, I see this guy by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the foreword to this book. He wrote the foreword to my latest read. And when I was reading this book, I thought he had a very interesting perspective. And I wanted to reach out to him. And I wanted to say, hey, you know what, Mr. Kiyosaki, would you bless my platform and do me the honor and pleasure of coming on? And he did just that. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome my guest, the one and only Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. How you doing today, sir?
Good. I'm a little under the weather. It's allergy season.
Oh, it's allergy. And you're out there in Phoenix, Arizona, correct?
I'm in Arizona.
Okay.
And the pollen's everywhere.
Well, that's okay. But you're corona free.
Yeah. I took the test. I'm passed.
All right. That's good. That's good. Now, for the people out there who if I missed something, can you kind of tell people, you know, if I missed something, if I kind of butcher bio, who is Mr. Robert Kiyosaki?
I don't know.
You want to get into
it? I enjoy life.
You enjoy life?
I enjoy life, yes. And right. I'm glad you brought Rod Smith's book up. That boy's a stud.
Oh yeah.
He is my hero.
Oh yeah, definitely. Rod is definitely a great guy, and I definitely reached out and told him that you were coming on as well.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to get to was, as I was reading your bio, right? I was reading about your life. You said you went to a seminar that changed your whole life. Can you explain to people what did that seminar do to change your life, going from being a military veteran? You said you separated, you dropped out of college, out of MBA, you dropped out of your master's grad school, and you went to this seminar. What did this seminar do to create a Robert Kiyosaki that we know of today?
Well, I think the big lesson here is I really hated school. You know, every time they said to me, go to school to get a job and be an employee, I didn't want anything to do with school. And so what happened when I came back from Vietnam, I was having what's called disciplinary problems because I was a Marine officer and all this, but I just couldn't drink the Kool-Aid anymore. And with that, I went looking for other answers because I was extremely successful at the military school academy, Marine pilot. Making money has always been relatively easy. But every time I just didn't like school. So when I got into the MBA program, something really hit me hard across the head was most of those teachers in school are fake teachers. In other words, they teach subjects they know nothing about. And so in the MBA program, I'm sitting there, I was in Hawaii, stationed at Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station. I'm in there in my flight suit. I'm getting spit on by all the other students because that was the Vietnam era and they hated military guys. So I'm sitting in my flight suit, just got off of flying, And I'm listening to this accounting teacher, and I realized that this guy didn't know anything. And so I asked him a question. I said, are you an accountant? And he says, I have a master's in accountancy. I said, that wasn't the question. I said, are you an accountant? He says, I have a master's degree in accountancy. I said, let me ask this question one more time, Mr. And Marines aren't the most polite guys. He says, I have a master's degree in accountancy. I said, that's it. I'm out of here.
Wow.
And the reason for that was that when I went to flight school in Pensacola, Florida, my teachers were real teachers. I mean, you knew if they could fly or not fly. And so flight school really kind of messed me up because, after a while, you could find out who were the good pilots and who were the bad pilots. Like in school, you don't know if the teacher knows anything. But in flight school, the guy can fly or not fly. So in the military, respect is everything. So that's the MBA program kind of turned me off. And from there on, I went to seminars. So one of the seminars I did was back then was called a New Age seminar called IST. Very controversial seminar, but it was awakening up my spirit. And my spirit was crushed, really, really crushed because, I was out in Vietnam twice, fighting for America. And I realized we had no business being out there. That's just recently in Iraq and all that stuff, we had weapons of mass destruction. They weren't about weapons of mass destruction. I realized my own government was lying to me. So with that, I went in search of my own education, should I say. And that was a turning point. So then I go to seminars all the time. So I can't say there was one seminar. But the one seminar I did after EST is I took a real estate seminar. And in that seminar, I learned how to use no money. So one of the most important lessons a person can learn is if you don't need money, you're a free man, a woman. So I call it the infinite return. So I was learning from real teachers. I think that's the difference, Prince. It's one of the things my last book, second to last book was called Fake Money, Fake Teachers, Fake Assets. And the US dollar is fake. They can print as much as they like. I don't touch it. I use the stuff. I don't like it. And our teachers are fake. The MBA guys, I asked how did them ever start a business? None. None. And then the fake assets in my latest book, Who Stole My Pension? The number one export of America today is not General Motors cars. The number one export are toxic assets. During the subprime crisis of 2008, they were called MBSs, mortgage-backed securities, CLSs, collateralized loan. They're pumping us full of these fake assets. And so that's when, and as a Marine, I just can't put up with the BS. And so going all the way back to your question, the seminar was basically, you have to know your teachers well. If they're fake, don't listen to them. I walk out now. And so when I go to seminars, which I go to constantly, probably about one every 2-3 months before the coronavirus crisis, is I want to listen to real teachers, not fake teachers. And there's a very big difference because there's nothing worse than a fake teacher who tells you to do something they can't do. And I'll say it again, my instructors in flight school could fly. And the better I got as a pilot, the better my instructors had to get because they were preparing us. I went from Pensacola, Florida to Camp Pendleton, California, where we staged, and then went straight to Vietnam after that. So the more high performance you're going to be as a person, you got to have better teachers. The better I got as a pilot, the more I demanded I have better teachers. And that's kind of the lesson I have. And that's the story of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. My poor dad was the head of education in Hawaii, PhD, but that stands for poor, helpless, and desperate. And that's the trouble with our school system. We're teaching kids to be poor. And then we have my rich dad who never went to school, but he was a rich man. He's an entrepreneur. And so my lesson to everybody is choose your teachers wisely. Because a lot of people are fake. They don't practice what they teach. Like Rod Smith.
Like You know, Ron is going to see this too.
I can't teach him anything about playing football, but I could learn a lot from him. You know what I mean?
Okay,
I love
nice.
football, but that guy's a stud, man. Holy mackerel! But he knows
Okay.
the game. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
So that's the difference.
Okay. Now you spoke about something that was very keen on that. You know, I seen your
That-
mass. I seen your very your books, right?
Yeah.
And with your book series, something that you did was, you know, you did a lot, right? You taught a lot of personal finance, right? And I saw one of your interviews as well, where you talked about money and kids, teaching kids about money. My question to you, my next question to you is, why isn't money taught in school?
Well, because that's what the question I asked also. And all my research, see, money is kind of my subject. You know, I studied it, so I know a lot of the history of it and all this. But I found out in 1903, these guys called J.P. Morgan and John D. Rockefeller, they took over. They formed an organization called the General Education Board. This is 1903, and the General Education Board then determined what you teach in school. And it was at that time they removed financial education from the school system. And the reason for that is guys like J.P. Morgan and all these guys, they don't want competition. They're looking for employees. So what the academic system is, you start at elementary school, you move up, and by the time you get to, let's say, college or graduate school, they're looking for the best employees possible. They don't want people to understand money. See, they couldn't hire me because I don't need the money. But as long
Mm,
as you need the money and job security and paycheck and the pensions, they got you. So, you know, I rarely say this, but if you don't need money, you're free.
mm,
That's the difference. That's the power of financial education, and that's the power of the human mind, the human spirit. But our school systems keep us needing money by putting fake teachers who need money, and then we get weaker and weaker. So you look at what's going on with this corona crisis right now, which I think is a hoax. Personally, I know the virus is real, but it's a hoax. You know what I mean? It's people are so afraid right now that they'll. I don't know what they're so afraid about. This get sick. But I think they're doing it for the pharmaceutical industry so they can pump vaccines into you. I have no proof of that, but I suspect that's what's going to happen because vaccine business is huge business, huge business. You're still there?
yeah, I just wanted to make sure I added in what you were speaking about COVID-19. So I try to keep the subtopic is going as well too. So you feel as though the coronavirus is real, but you feel as though that the pandemic is a hoax.
Well, the real virus is fear. You know, they're so afraid, and you know, they lock everybody up, and businesses are shutting down, and people get weaker. You know what I mean? They're getting weaker. They're more desperate now. So they accept that fake from the government, called it PPP or whatever they call it, Social
Mm,
Security, socialism, you know,
mm,
UBI, Universal Basic Income. So people are and the reason I think you teach too is if people are needy, they're desperate.
mm,
And then you know what's going to happen next is that there's not going to be enough food because the supply lines are shut down. So when people get hungry, they get desperate, and they'll do anything the government tells you to do. So that's my concern. I have no proof of it. You know, I watched the programs. I watched that video Plandemic. I listened to Robert Kennedy Jr. You know,
mhm.
Bobby Kennedy's son, and he's very anti-virus. And then you have Bill Gates, who's very pro-vaccines. I just listen to it. I just hope that I'll make it mandatory that we have to take them
Mm.
because I don't want to take them. You want to take them? But I don't want to take
Think I'll pass on them. But
them.
like you mentioned, I want to get into this next topic, the good stuff. You're known for saying that money is fake, right? You're saying money is fake, stock market is fake, dollar is fake. The federal government is just pumping out money left and right. And you said something key on your Instagram here on your latest post. You said the old economy, thinking that you're going to go to school, get a degree, get a job, invest into your 401k, and live happily ever after, get a nice pension or whatnot. You were saying that is the old economy and that COVID-19 has exposed the old economy. I want to ask you today, what is the new economy?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, you can tell me. I love you forever. I, I think, the whole point here is everything has changed. That's the point. And
Mhm.
the old formula, like, the old formula is you go to school, you get a job, you work hard, you save money, get out of debt, buy a house, and invest for the long term in a well diversified portfolio of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. Well, that's good for the average person, but I don't have to do that. And I don't want to do that. I don't have any stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or ETFs. But it goes back to the seminar I took where I learned how to invest without money. And every entrepreneur, I mean, a real entrepreneur versus a small or a fake entrepreneur, you don't need money, but you do need entrepreneurial skills. Like, for example, if I wanted to be a plumber, I said, oh, I want to make a living as a plumber. I go to plumbing school to learn the skills of a plumber. But our academic system doesn't teach us the skill set of an entrepreneur. So if you look at the richest people on earth, they're entrepreneurs or children of entrepreneurs. But our schools train you to go to school and get a job. They're programming you to become an employee to work for entrepreneurs like me. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do, or become a doctor, a lawyer, or accountant, a professional person. But, but I hire those guys. I don't want to be like that. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm saying. But the whole economy has changed. I think I know this is the biggest crash in world history. Never been a crash as big as March 2020. March 2020, the world changed. I wrote a book called Rich Dad's Prophecy. I said the biggest stock market crash was coming in 2016, but it came in March 2020. I was 4 years off because I didn't foresee quantitative easing and zero interest rate policy. I had no idea how desperate the Fed would be.
Mm.
So when they started they just pumped. They claimed to only put 2.2 trillion into the economy last month, but there's more coming.
Mm.
And so without financial education, the average person, all they watch is the stock market. That's about it. I don't care about the stock market. There's a system called the shadow banking system. It's out of sight of most people. And in September of 2019, which is 9 months ago, the shadow banking market crashed, started to hemorrhage money.
Mm.
And so I knew something was up. So the shadow banking system, and they can't. So interest rates as a consumer, my interest rates are coming down. But in the shadow banking system is where the rich, well, not the rich, but the biggest financial institutions borrow money from. Interest rates went to 10%.
Mm.
So the average guy goes, what's the shadow banking system? What's the repo market? What's the commercial paper market? They don't know anything. But when the interest rates went up for people like Deutsche Bank and all those guys, the banks were crashing. And the average guy in September 2019 can't even see it because there's no financial education in school. So they're happy because the stock market keeps going up. Everybody says, well, unemployment's at the lowest point in history. But and I know, when the things are at the high, they're about to come down.
Mm.
And the suckers always come in at the top. You know that? They always come in at the top. So I was getting out last year, not of the stock market, but I have about 8,000 rental units. So I started shedding about 1,000 of my non-performing properties. And
Okay.
they bought it from me. The guys that are going broke.
Yeah, that's smart.
But
Now,
I didn't, I just, it's all these hedge fund guys run by these MBAs. They're not
mm,
investors, they're finance guys. They
mm,
don't know jack about real estate. So they wouldn't know a good deal from a bad deal.
okay. So now I want to ask you this question that you just brought that up. You just made the correlation between real estate and stocks, right? So I know that you're big on real estate. You believe in real estate, where you're saying stocks are too manipulated, things like that. Now I want to ask you, how do you look at the difference between real estate versus stocks?
Well, I've taken 3 companies public through initial public offerings.
Mhm.
So I'm an insider in the stock market. It took me, 8 years, took 3 companies public, made a lot of money. But the more I learned about how the game was played, I couldn't play it anymore. I don't want to be in it. That's like, I don't know if Rod Smith would keep playing if he found out the game of football was rigged. Some people would, some people wouldn't. I just don't like to play a rigged game, if you know what I mean. I
Mhm.
want to play a rigged game. I go to
Now,
Wall
Mr.
Street,
Kiyosaki, when you said it's a rigged game, what do you mean by it's a rigged game?
rigged against the poor and middle class. You don't have a prayer out there. I wouldn't touch the stock market, but I don't have to. There's a difference. You see, the reason I took seminars, you asked me about it, is and the reason I keep studying is I don't want to play that game. Just like when I was in Vietnam, I didn't want to kill anybody anymore. I was tired of it. Why am I killing these innocent people? We're still killing them today in Syria and all that stuff. We're still killing people. For what? For oil. You know it, and I know it. There's no weapons of mass destruction, and there's no COVID. It's all
Mm.
manufactured hype, and it's run by big pharma. And I don't nothing wrong with it, but don't rig the game against us. My friend had his medical doctor. He was complaining his YouTube and his Instagram site was taken down. We've lost our freedom of speech.
Mm.
Social distancing is the First Amendment. So I'm pretty adamant. I don't need money. I'm a free man. I can move anywhere I want to move. But I fight for the right of the. I fought for America as a Marine, and I still fight for those rights. I fight for the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the amendments. But most people are just so willing to give up their freedom for a little security right now.
Mm.
That upsets me. What happened to our spirit? That's what disturbs me. What happened to our spirit? And we're so weak right now. They're going to let us inject. They're going to inject anything they want in us. If you understood the vaccine business, when I was a kid, there were only 2 vaccines. Today, there's 80. It's the biggest money maker for pharma there is. I have no problem with pharma making money, but don't make it mandatory that I have to take it. That's my choice. That's all I'm saying.
Mm.
And
Okay.
if it was, and I'm not a doctor and all that. I just don't want you sticking shit in my arm. That's it.
I like that. All right, calm down a little bit. Calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Kiyosaki, I don't want to expose your age, but you've been around for a while. You've been around. You've done a lot in financial education. You've done a lot of, you're a pioneer. In a time like this, you've seen many crashes. I seen the video. I think it was back in the 80s, back in that 87 crash. When the market was crashing, you was becoming excited, right? You were saying, hey, the market's crashing when everybody else was getting desperate and, oh my God, fear was sinking in with people. You were getting excited, you know. And my question to you now in 2020, because everybody's going to listen to this, everybody's going to watch this. What are you investing in?
Nothing's changed for me. Nothing. I was prepared for this crash. And that's, I think, the most important thing. I've had some setbacks in some of the businesses where we lost our employees and stuff like that, so we've not made as much money.
Mhm.
Personally, I'm doing well. The number one asset I have is what's between here and here.
Mhm.
So when people say, well, what assets do I have? Well, I wrote a book that sold 48 million copies. You know how much money that makes me? I also have 8,000 pieces of real estate. I own hotels. And the hotels are the ones that are damaging right now because they're empty. But that's part of the business. I own golf courses, oil wells, and all that stuff. But I'm a professional investor. That's the difference. I'm making more money than ever before because other businesses are doing well. And my concern is, Prince, is that what happened in 2008, the market came down and went into a V. The reason it went into a V was because the Federal Reserve Bank and the US Treasury injected trillions of dollars to keep it from crashing. So they pumped it up into another bubble, the biggest bubble in world history. And that was a prediction I was making in my book, Rich Dad's Prophecy, that in 2016, the biggest crash would come. But I did not foresee how much quantitative easing and how much zero interest rate they were going to do to keep that bubble high. So the real estate market blew up, stock market took up, blew up, and the bond market blew up. So in 2020, all three markets crashed, March 2020. So right now, instead of bouncing a V, excuse me, instead of a V,
It's gonna be like a U.
and some people think, well, it's going to be a W. It means it bounces, dead cat bounce, bounce up. So some people say, well, it's going to be a W recovery. And I think it's a possibility, probably about 20%. It goes L. It
Ooh.
crashes and goes into a depression. So we're actually more closer to 1929 than 2008 in the crash. So this might be a long crash. One more thing, because this is my study. I never did well in school. I was a C student in school, but I understand money. There are major crashes every 90 years. Every 90 years, there's a major crash. So the last major crash was 1929. So that's 2020, major crash. And in 1929, it went into a 25-year depression from 1929 to 1954. So this might, I hope I'm wrong, but this crash might stay down for a long time, which is really good if you're a professional investor. And so there's always opportunities, but you have to be smarter than the average person, and you study it. If you don't study it, then it's best to just put your money in with a financial planner and let it sit there. But I wouldn't do that.
Very, very interesting. Now, Mr. Kiyosaki made some very key points. You made some very key points about you being invested in real estate, oil, hotels, and how the complete market crashed, right? You spoke about money, stocks being manipulated, us walking into a new economy. You said a lot of great things. So you got a lot of people scratching their heads out there that somebody may be an employee. You made very famous when you created that chart when you talked about employee to being self-employed, to being a business owner, to becoming an investor. So a lot of people are thinking right now, if I'm a young person or I'm a middle-aged person or whatever the case may be, Mr. Kiyosaki, where do I start? What do I do right now today?
Well, that's where you talk to Rod Smith. I, I tell you, no. And I'll tell you the story he told me, which is, it'll explain why he's Rod Smith. He's a genuine guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know what school he went to, Eastern Missouri College or something like that,
Yep.
And it wasn't like Michigan State or Stanford or Florida. So he walks on the field. He's just fresh out of college. All of these guys are from, like I say, Michigan
One schools, big
big schools. And they ask him where he's from. He says, "Well, I think it's Eastern Missouri." And they all laugh at him. And that's what I love about Rod. It inspired him. He says, "I'm going to show you SOBs. You're going to regret laughing at me." And he says, "I'm going to out practice. I'm going to outwork. I'm going to get all of you." If you don't have Rod's attitude, you'll get your ass kicked in the real world.
Mm.
That's the difference. So no matter what happens to you, if you lose your guts, your spirit, what the Mexicans call cojones, you lose your balls out there, you're finished. So that's really what it takes. But so many people right now are willing to take the PPP, whatever they call it, $3,200 from the government. They're probably going to take modern monetary theory. Everybody gets free money from now on, and they'll take the coronavirus shot because they've given up.
Mm.
If you do that, then I can't help you. But if you want to fight back, help. There's a big difference in spirit. That's why I was a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going to Vietnam, I want the guys who want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
If I was going to Vietnam, I didn't want to go with the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard guys are to save lives, and Marines go to kill people. So if I'm going to fight, I want to fight with guys that want to kill, not save.
Okay, I'll put you on that.
Yeah, it's just life's sort of, I know it. Life ain't easy.
Mhm.
But you got to make your decision where you're going to stand your ground. And
Okay.
where that is, I don't know. It's up to you.
Mm. Because people only know three ways. People are saying, "Hey, I got real estate, I got stocks, and I got business." If you're saying real estate is, if you're saying stocks is manipulated, I shouldn't go there. Where should I start? Where do I go? Like, what do I, you know, if Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, the 35-year-old him, is sitting here and it's May 6th of 2020, what would he be doing? Or what would you advise him? What would you tell
Uh,
that young?
Well, you started with that question, a seminar.
Mhm.
I
Mm,
stopped going to schools. I do seminars constantly.
mm,
But what I'm looking for is a teacher. That's the difference. See, I'm looking for the teacher who practice what they teach. And as you know, in this YouTube world, a lot of fakes out there too.
mm,
So I love YouTube because on YouTube, there's a lot of really smart guys and women. So it's so fast and easy now. You just tune into YouTube. I want to learn about stocks, and then you can go there, and then you find out which teacher connects with you. If you like real estate, find a teacher that best connects with you. So the world is so much better today because of things like YouTube and Google, except they banned the anti-vaccine guys. But other than that, I'm on YouTube constantly because I'm looking for the best teachers.
mm,
So there was this guy, George Gammon, he's fairly sophisticated, smart young guy, but he explains the monetary system better than anybody else. And people say, well, why do he has the rebel capitalist show and all this. Why do you want to know the monetary system? I said, so I can predict the future.
mm,
The reason I make so much money is I'm already dealing into the future. That's the difference. So my business, Rich Dad, right now, we're smoking it, man.
mm.
You know, I just get on my little YouTube. I talk about my cash flow game and all that. All the kids are sitting at home, mommy and daddy ready to kill them. I have this game called Cash Flow for Kids. Why don't you teach them money?
Mm,
But you have to really want to help people genuinely. And you and I know a lot of fakes out there, a lot of
mhm,
con men, a lot of frauds, a lot of liars. And
mm.
so that's life. Nobody's going to protect you from them. They're all around you. So
Got
that's
it.
why I just recommend. I think YouTube for financial education is fabulous. Fabulous. A lot of good teachers, a lot of fakes, but
Mm.
that's life.
Got it. Very good point. So pretty much start seeking out mentorship and real education from real teachers. That's what you'll start to do right now.
Correct. And let me talk to you about real estate because people think I'm in real estate because I like real estate.
Mhm.
No, I like real estate because I use debt.
Mm.
Like what's his name? Well, a lot of people say live debt free. Are you nuts?
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey, yeah, he's not I mean, I respect the guy. He has his audience, and all this stuff. But I love debt because 1971, when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the U.S. dollar became debt. And the reason what happened in 2008 when the markets crashed, they lowered the interest rates. And when they lower interest rates, they're saying to you and me and the public, please borrow money. So when interest rates go down, it's reducing the cost of money. So in 2008, and it crashed, 2009, I went to my banks, I borrowed $300 million. So real estate was down, and the price of debt was going up, credit was going down. So we borrowed $300 million, and we made fortunes. And we don't sell, we don't flip, we're not flippers. We just bought some of the best real estate in the world. And we rode that booger up. And that's what in last year, we started selling the ones that weren't working because I could see the top coming.
Mm.
We sold them to private equity companies and the hedge funds. We sold it to those guys because they're MBA guys.
Mm.
They're not
Wow.
investors. And I mean, they're amateurs.
Mm.
So my best friend, he and I have been friends for 50 years. He just sold his real estate company for 1.8 billion,
Wow.
January 2020.
Mm.
He put $1 billion in his pocket before tax, of course. But but we're professionals now. We're in it. We study. We're always in seminars. We hang out with other guys the same way. It just becomes our game. Like Rod Smith's game is football. You got to find it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
You got to
definitely.
find your game.
Okay. Now I want to speak on this something. When you just spoke about interest rates being flat when you got into real estate, interest rates were flat, and you said real estate was down. What do you see the future or the short term, near future for real estate? I know you kind of already hinting on it, but what is that short term? If I'm getting ready to buy that house, I'm ready to jump into the real estate game, what would be your advice to that person?
Well, it depends upon where the real estate is. Like, I would never buy real estate in California
Mm.
because it's a communist republic, and, I wouldn't. No, but you don't just buy real estate. You got to know where you're located, the laws, and all this stuff. I would never buy real estate in New York.
Mm.
But right now, in different parts of the country, the small mountain towns are booming. So I own a resorts and all that. These small mountain towns. People from California are moving in droves because California is technically bankrupt.
Mm.
So they're moving out of that city because they keep raising the taxes.
Mm.
So that's real estate too. Is what's going on in one state versus another state. So they're moving into, to like,
Colorado.
yeah. I have some property up in Payson and Sedona, Arizona. Beautiful, beautiful little resorts. And these
Mm.
Californians walk in, they go, "Oh my God, that house is only $350,000." And everybody in the town goes, "Here's another California sucker," because because to them, 350,000 is cheap.
Hmm.
And the guy in Arizona, he just marked it up to 350,000.
Wow.
So it's a game. Yeah, my wife loves golf. She's very good at the game. Some people like soccer. I don't like soccer because you can't hit people. I love football because I can hit people. You know what I mean? What's
Oh
your
yeah.
game? You like ping pong? Well, I can't help you.
All
So
right.
I think that's my message. If you're not loving the game and you don't want to win at it, don't play. That's
Gotcha.
about it. Because you're going to lose. The biggest mistake, I hear it all the time when I used to teach all the time. Somebody would raise their hand and say, "Oh, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, I got $10,000. Here's a room, 1,000 people, right? They're raising their stupid hand in my workshop with 1,000 desperate people. He says, "I got $10,000. What should I do with it?" The first thing I say to them is, "If I were you, I'd keep my mouth shut,
Before you get
Here you are saying, I got $10,000 and I'm an idiot. And all these desperate people sitting around you, they
hmm.
have an idea what to do with your $10,000. It's give it to them."
Mm.
So, it's amateurs and pros, right? You know what I mean, Prince?
Mm.
You want to go pro as quickly as you can or stay amateur. But when you go pro, that's what I was talking about when I was in flight school. I had real teachers.
Mm.
And the better I got as a pilot, the better my teachers got, the more they demanded of
Got it.
me.
So
Very, very big difference.
got two more questions for you here. One I want to ask you is a new thing that's going around. You spoke about the monetary system. I got to ask you this. What is your thoughts on the cryptocurrencies?
Well, that's a great question because I'll tell you why I like cryptocurrency. Because I don't trust the Fed, the Federal Reserve Bank, and the whole world is surrounded. The ECB is European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, the Fed, Mexican banks, and all this. I like crypto because they're not part of a central system. And I fought in Vietnam against communism, and a central bank is communism, centrally controlled economics. So I want something outside of the central bank system. So I think Bitcoin is good. I don't own any of it. I own some other stuff, but I'm not good at it. But I buy it because it's outside the system of the Federal Reserve Bank and the US Treasury. That's why I buy it. But as you know, there's a lot of fake cryptocurrencies also.
Hmm.
A lot of fakes. But that's life, right, Prince? There's a lot of
Mhm.
fakes out there. And you got to know the real from the fake.
Okay, so you like the decentralized piece, but you're not a big fan of, you're not a big fan because you say so many fakes. You got to filter through because they're, I don't know. Last time I checked, it was thousands of cryptocurrencies, and like you said, it's a bunch of fakes out there. You don't know who's real and what's not. But what do you got to say what if the government creates their own cryptocurrency? What they say, hey, now we got the digital dollar.
What was that now?
What if the government creates their own cryptocurrency, the digital dollar, or whatever they want to call it?
I probably moved to Switzerland or Sweden. I don't trust my government, man. I don't know if you get my drift here.
Now let me ask you this question because you say you don't trust the government, but you wrote a book with Donald Trump, President Trump. You wrote a book with him, right? And
Before he was president.
before he was president. Now, how do you feel about his presidency? Do you think he's changing the way we're doing things? You think because I receive the same political guidelines as you. I don't really go too deep into the president. I don't look at the president controlling my life. I kind of look at what I can do to control my life. But I know that since you have personal ties with President Trump, you wrote a book with him. What do you think about his presidency or whatnot?
I think he's doing a better job than Hillary. That's all I can say. I'd rather have him than Biden or Sanders. You know what I mean? It's the least ugly contest. No, I think it's great, man. He got tough. He's a friend of mine. I said, why do you want to run for president? He says, well, it was just kind of a challenge for him. But I can't say I agree with everything he does. I think he opens his mouth too much. He says things he shouldn't say. But I trust him of all the people that were running. I trust him the most. And the reason we got together was, this is long before I became president. We got together because we're real estate guys. And we both believe in financial education, but from a rich guy's point of view. You see, the reason I like real estate and he likes real estate is we use debt and we pay no taxes. That's the game. So the game is to make as much money as you can and pay zero tax. The average guy can't do it. So when Trump and I got together, we were teaching people how we play that game. I mean, it's all legal. You have to have good accountants, good attorneys, and all that stuff. But I thought it was funny when he was running for office. They kept saying, "Where's your financial statements?" He goes, "Oh, well, he was doing the soft shoe,
That is true. He was dancing around when everybody kept asking about those financial statements.
Because the average guy would not understand, how can you make $1 billion and pay no taxes? It's a different game, man. That's why Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what the rich teach their kids about money, the poor middle class do not. So my poor dad always said, go to school, get a job, invest in the stock market. That's not what my rich dad taught me. My rich dad is how you become an entrepreneur, how you make a lot of money and pay no tax. That's the game.
I spoke about that too. You talk about your rich dad. The secret to the game was Monopoly, where you get 4 houses in a hotel. Is that still true?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's more than that. That's why I invested in real estate, because I was 9 years old. I had to work for my rich dad for free. He said, if I pay you, you get the employee mindset. I want you to have the entrepreneur's mindset. So entrepreneurs work for free, long times. You don't make money for years sometimes, but you're doing it to build a business, build an asset. So I would work I work in his office. I pick up cigarette butts. I do stupid things around the place. We're 9 years old, my best friend and I. And then he would teach us about money playing Monopoly. And if you look at, let's say you had 1 greenhouse, you got $10. You got 2 greenhouses, you got $20. 3 greenhouses, $30. 4, $40. Red Hotel, $50. It's called cash flow. You see, what I'm investing for is not capital gains. I don't want the property to go up in value. I want that income coming off that property. And the bigger the hotel, the less tax I pay. And I make more money. That's why Trump owns hotels. It's a game. And there's millions of different games. But without real financial education, you're just playing the game the employees play, which is go to school, get a job, save money, get out of debt, and invest in the stock market. That's best for most. They should do that, but I won't do that. That's why I make the cash flow board game. They say the cash flow board game is Monopoly on steroids because the cash flow board game is the only one that has a financial statement attached to it. Income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go to my bankers, one woman asked me, "How did you borrow $300 million?" I asked her one question. I said, "Do you have a financial statement?" She says, "No."
Mm.
I do. That's why I can borrow that much money.
Wow.
But she doesn't know the game.
Borrow money, don't pay taxes, and seek real teachers. Okay. Now I want to get to this real quick, right? Well, I want to ask you another thing. Knowing that you're a military background, right? You did some time in the military, Marine Corps exact. By myself, I'm 17 years in the military, retiring in 20. Navy, to be exact, the best branch. But
Which,
um,
which branch were you in?
Navy, the best one.
I'll pray for you tonight. I'm kidding. No, I love you guys. You're the best, man. You guys
I,
deliver us. You
bro,
deliver.
I never saw you with this much sense of a humor. I never in most of your interviews, you're always kind of like tight and hey, this is this whatnot. But this is the biggest sense of humor I think I've seen you with in all the interviews that I've probably seen.
Yeah.
So, but the question now, what advice would you give to a veteran, someone who's looking to maybe do 20 years and retire, or someone who's done 4 years who's looking to get out? What advice would you give to a veteran? Or would you say anything? Anything you say?
Well, you better do it because you want to serve people, not for the pension. You
Mm,
know, the thing that really disturbed me was that yeah, Marines are pretty tight. There's two kinds of Marine. There's line and there's supply. And so when we go into the Marine Corps, they said, "You want to be a combat guy or you want to be a supply officer?"
mm.
And so all the guys who are lifers, they want to be a supply.
Oh,
Saying was, "Why die? Go supply."
why that
And I'm only, I'm making fun of them. We all love
Mhm.
each other, but we
Oh
see a
yeah,
guy with a little supply insignia over here. We go, lifer.
yeah, life. Mm,
They didn't want to get killed. They were there for the retirement.
got it. Okay.
Yeah. And then the line guys, we wanted to fight, but our life, as a Huey gunship pilot, my life expectancy was 30 days.
Oh wow.
That's how short it was. Yeah, but that's why I took it. It's the same as brother Rod Smith.
Mm,
He walked on that field, it's Eastern Missouri, what college, and he sees all the studs out there. He says, "Oh, my next target, my next challenge. I'm going to beat all you guys." And if you don't have that attitude, you know, just buy mutual funds and be happy.
mm. So pretty much do it if you are wanting to serve people. Do the 20, but don't do it just because you want a pension.
Well, I hate to say this, but I had family members who were triple dippers.
Mm,
So they retired from one service, retired from another service,
mm.
retired from the government. And so my poor dad, he says, "God, look at your uncle, man. He's got 3 retirements." And there was something inside me that died. I went, "Why would you live your life for retirement?" But we're all different. That's all I'm saying. We're all different. It was important to them to have 3 retirements. I don't need a retirement. I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So it's education and skills. That's all it is.
Okay. Now this is what I want to get into. I have the cover of his latest book called "Who Stole My Pension," right? And before we get into about who stole his pension, the first two people to comment, Rich Dad Poor Dad, you're going to get a free copy sent to you. So the first two people to comment, you're going to get a free copy sent to you, courtesy of the Investor Show. Who Stole My Pension by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, a lot of people out there have 401ks, and a lot of people out there have pension funds or whatnot. And you're telling me somebody has stole the pension. Police officers, firefighters, school teachers, military, government employees, and you're telling me my pension is stolen? Can you explain to us? Let me take this down. Can you explain to us what you meant by that? Well, one second here. Wait. We already okay. I'm getting so many people commenting. Let me get the top two people. Congratulations, Miss LaShonda Edmonds, who said Rich Dad Poor Dad. Congratulations to you. And Miss Melina, I can't say that. Peters, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Congratulations to you. You would get 2 copies. You guys would get a copy each of his book. I know we got so many other ones, but I'm sorry, maybe next time. But explain to us, who stole my pension? What do you mean somebody stole my pension?
Well, specifically on that book, it's the Wall Street. I'll say it again. Wall Street makes its money. The number one export of America is not Toyotas or Chevrolets. Number one export is toxic assets. We manufacture these assets that are not assets, and they sell it to you. Like, these financial. I'm not against anybody. I mean education. When a financial planner says, "Yeah, I got $1 billion assets under management," doesn't mean you're making any money. It means they're making money. See, the
Mm.
whole system is rigged against the investor. And I don't blame them, but that's what they do. Like just recently, Senator Mitch McConnell, the senator from Kentucky, he whispered this word. He says, maybe Kentucky should declare bankruptcy. And the average guy doesn't know what that means. It means he may stiff teachers, firefighters, and police officers. Because what happened in March 2020, when the market crashed, Kentucky's pensions went from 16% to 9%. Now, what does that mean? So if the pension owes $100, 16% meant they only had $16 for the 100 they owed all the retirees. But when it dropped to 9, it was now $9. And so the way Kentucky can possibly get out of paying the pensioners is bankruptcy. So you read Who Stole My Pension? That's what Wall Street did to the UPS drivers. The UPS drivers, in the book, there's a UPS driver was making $5,000 a month in his pension. They asked him to take a haircut to $850, $5,000 to $850 because the pension was looted by Wall Street. And the same as me, when I came back from Vietnam, most of my peers were flying for American Airlines, Northwest Airlines, but most of them all want to fly for United for some reason. So I have about six fellow pilots flew for United. Well, in 2009, their pension was stolen also. So all my friends who are pilots, high-paid pilots, they had to go back to work.
Well, hold on, wait. Since you're saying this, how do I know if my pension is stolen?
Well, that's what the book's about. So there's a defined benefit pension, which the pilots had, and the firefighter school teachers had a defined benefit. What happened in '74? Employees got too expensive for American corporations. So they shifted us to what's called a defined contribution, defined benefit, the defined contribution, IRAs and 401ks. If you don't know the pension system, you're being robbed. See, what happens is Wall Street dumps all of its garbage into pension plans.
Because I did notice that because some people say, hey, I have a pension with my 401k, but that's really controlled by another hedge fund or
Yeah,
something else.
yeah.
The hedge fund really has the money, like military. We have the thrift savings plan, but it's really controlled by BlackRock,
Yeah,
who's on Wall Street. So
yeah.
BlackRock has all of the military's pensions and pretty much the largest 401k in the world. What are they doing with all that money, Mr. Kiyosaki?
Well, they're helping themselves. God helps those, they help themselves.
Now, what made you write this book? What made you come to this? What made you just open up your mind and say, "Oh, 401k, somebody stole it"?
Well, because Ted Siddell, my co-author,
Mm-hmm.
he and I have something very much in common. We both had fathers who lost their pensions. And so what I always say, my poor dad wasn't poor until he lost his job, his paycheck, and his pension. And Ted Siddell's father was a CIA operative in Uganda. And Idi Amin had him killed. And they disappeared his body. So his family could not collect a pension because there was no body. So he and I have kind of a personal concern that with this corona crisis today, millions and millions of people will be just like our dads. No pensions, no money. Social Security started going negative in 2010, and Medicare's bust. So America's bankrupt. And so we wrote Who Stole My Pension? as kind of a wake up, but also what you can do. Like if you belong to, let's say, the Teamsters Union, there's things you can do. You have a 401k, there's other things you can do. But to sit there passively and let them steal from you is really, really stupid. But I guess that's what most people want. They want the government to take care of them. I don't want that.
Hmm.
So that's why socialism, that's why Bernie Sanders was on the rise. Everybody says, oh, Bernie's going to give me money. Today we have MMT and these bailout money and all this. People are very happy. Today employees are making more money not working than working.
Hmm.
What's going to happen, Prince, is that the minimum wage is going to go to $25 an hour
Wow.
because we can't pay the debt. This is going to blow up. So that's why we wrote Who Stole My Pension and things like that. So if you are interested, then you can read the book, especially if you're a younger person and you have a father who's, let's say, 50 or 40 or something. They're cruising for a bruise, just to
Hmm.
bring a pension.
Okay.
America's bankrupt.
Wow. Yeah, because we're writing checks left and right.
Yeah.
Now, the thing, so everybody out there, his link will be in the bio to grab his book for the people that didn't win. And the 2 people that I announced earlier that did win, please DM me so I can have your address. Of course, I have your name, but I need to have your address so I know where to exactly send it to you. And I want to say congratulations for everybody else out there. You can go grab a copy, right? To if you're a Rich Dad Poor Dad fan, or Robert Kiyosaki fan, definitely appreciate it. Now, Mr. Kiyosaki, I first want to apologize. I went way over my time. You know,
Oh, good fun. Good
I
fun.
didn't, I didn't, I didn't know that you had this much charisma. I watch you in a lot of places, but you seem a little bit more tight. They play the music in the background and seem so serious, and you never smile, and it seems very, So I was a little uptight in the beginning of the interview, but then I'm like, wow, it's actually pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
now, is there anything out there? I know you got to get running. Is there anything out there that you want to leave the live audience right now and the people that are going to catch the playback?
Well, I don't know what else to say. This is the biggest change in world history, and it's global. My Who Stole My Pension? It's global.
Mm,
Japan is broke. Let's give you some. So I don't know what's going to happen. So for years I've been saying buy gold or silver or Bitcoin,
yeah.
or join, or like Brother Rod has a network marketing company. Join it. You want to start choosing your friends pretty tight right now. So if I was into network marketing, I would join Rod's company, Rod Smith.
Mm,
Because you want to hang out with leaders, not losers. So people are forming into little tribes and clusters and stuff like this. So I would say, who are your 5 closest friends? If 5 are losers, then you're the 6th.
mm. Yeah, that's
If they're all smoking dope and watching porno, that's probably what you're doing too.
okay.
You are your friends, stuff like that. So it's a time for re-examining your life, what's next for you. And I would suggest taking what's hard, not easy. It's easy to accept the government check. It'd be harder to go work with Rod Smith. That'd
Mm.
be and
I want to ask you 2 names.
yeah.
And when I say the name, I want the first thing to come to mind.
Okay.
First thing that come to mind. I mean, if it's no, it's just real. Just keep it real. Just whatever comes to mind. First name I want to say. First thing that come to mind. One word to first word that come to mind. Dave Ramsey.
He has a target market that's not my market. We have different markets. Again, you got to choose your teachers wisely. Dave has a market that I talk to. I talk to entrepreneurs and investors, professional guys. Like Susie Orman, you know, I wouldn't follow her advice, but she has an audience.
Mm,
That's all it is. It's just choose your teachers. So I'm probably, of all the so-called financial gurus out there, I have the smallest market because that's why, I recommend network marketing.
mm,
And everybody goes, whoa. I go, hey, why do I recommend network marketing? Because you have most of those companies, they require you to study. It's hard. You want things that are harder than easy.
mm.
And so the people that join network marketing, they're already kind of like Rod Smith. They want to get better.
Mm,
And I would say a large, I don't know what numbers, but 80% wanted to get easier.
mm.
And after this COVID crash, I think life's going to get harder. So you want to hang out with people who are moving forward, not waiting for the check. Like I told you earlier, is that when I went down at all these like 600 guys in the room. They had the Army recruiter, the Navy recruiter, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Marine Corps, and they all stood up and gave their pitch.
And you
So,
made the mistake of going to the Marine Corps. I can't believe that.
so they all stood up there, and the Coast Guard's guy says, "Yeah, we save people's lives," and the Air Force says, "We have good golf courses,"
Golf course.
and the Navy talks about we travel the world. And the Army guys say we have the most tanks. So the Marine gets up there, the Marine recruiter says, "Look, if any of you pussies want to save lives, join the Coast Guard."
Wow.
He says, "Marines kill people. Come with us." There was only a few of us went to the Marines.
Wow.
Everybody else was there for the golf course or saving lives. But
Seeing the
my
world.
logic was, if I'm going to go to war, I want to go to war with people who want to fight. And your listeners right now, that's kind of where you're at right now. We're your friends. What are we going to do? It's probably going to, I hope I'm wrong, we might be going into depression. But if you hang out with people who want the government check, that's who you are.
Wow.
I don't want the government check. I want to fight my way out of this thing. I want to get smarter. I want to get better. And that's why you choose your teachers and your friends wisely. And that's who you are.
Nice. Second name, Warren Buffett.
Well, I better not. He's obviously a very smart guy, but he doesn't tell people what he really knows. Because I know guys, I know what he knows. Yes, his company Moody's screwed a lot of people, and I kind of hold it against him. But that's his game. But a very smart man. I wouldn't invest with him. You know why?
Why is that?
Because I don't learn anything.
Hmm.
I'll say it again. Brother Rod, Eastern Missouri. He goes on the field with USC, Stanford, University of Michigan. Says, I got a game to play now, and I'm going to beat these guys. But most people would rather just give their money to Warren and have him make money for them. I don't want Warren to play with my money. That's my money. I want to have fun. So for most people, Warren's the best if you can get in on one of his funds. But I wanted to play my game. I didn't want to play Warren's game. And that's the lesson. You got to choose your friends, your game. I'm always studying. I'm on YouTube constantly. I'm going to seminars. I teach. I love my game. I really do. I'm 73 years old. I'll probably be doing it until whatever day I keel over. I don't need the money. You know what I mean? It's just a game.
Just a game.
And how do I keep score is financial statements. And I'm doing very, very well. I win some, I lose some, but my score keeps going up eventually. I've been set back hard, but that's the game. I'll leave this with you, Prince. It's really interesting. I was talking to the psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
He said there are most people in life, they only want small rewards. I said, why is that? Because this world, there's more opportunity now ever before in the history of the world. But most people want small rewards. And I said, why is that? He says, because they can't take punishment. So they want small punishments.
Mm. Let me ask this question.
Wait, please understand that it's the losers
Mm-hmm.
that stand losing. That's why they lose.
Well, Mr. Kiyosaki, you've been very, very awesome. Your sense of humor is way better than I expected. And I knew, I didn't know that, your sense of humor was like that. And I know I went way, way, way over my time, but it didn't even feel like it, but I like the way you play the game. And I truly, honestly want to say thank you for coming on. I want to ask you, did you have fun?
Keep up the good work.
Keep up the good work.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep
All right.
teaching. All right. Remember, there's two kinds of games: rich and everybody else. That's all there is in this world, because it's going to be a two society world:
Mm-hmm.
rich and everybody else. Because the middle class is getting crushed right now. That's the big difference. Job security, all that stuff, steady pensions, all gone. So you got to make the choice right now. You can play the game of the rich, which is why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or you can play like my poor dad, go to school and get a job. Difference.
Anything else you want to leave it? I know you said it a lot already, but is there anything else in your mind that you want to leave out there?
Thanks for teaching.
Oh, I definitely appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, guys and girls, until the next video, podcast, cartoon, or book, or whatever else you see me do crazy around the globe. My name is Prince Dykes. Of course, this is Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you.
Be safe. I'm out. Thank you.